Alright, since we've already left yesterday, we're going to continue on this story. And then I'll return it to the library the next time I'm done reading it. So here we go. And it's until Thanksgiving. Oh, and by the way, until Thanksgiving breaks over. And then we have one more month of, guys, we have one more month of this left. One more month of 2025 left. Of the year 2025 left. And that'll be December. And I don't know what to say, but I guess I might make some more videos on December. It'll be my last video in December before 2026. So anyways, let's continue. Shall we? Yeah. So it took 2 attempts. Amelia flew through fog and sleet. She finally made it to 14,000 feet, more than 2.5 miles high. Then her plane's engine began to fail. Amelia brought her plane down fast. She was just barely able to make a safe landing, but she had her record. Although Amelia loved to fly, she soon found out that she couldn't support herself just by flying. There were no big airlines or airplanes yet. People did not travel by plane. In fact, most people never expected to take a ride in a plane. In 1924, Amelia temporarily gave up on her dream. I never gave up on my dream. So yeah, she sold the cannery and used the money to buy a car. You might guess that Amelia would pick a practical automobile like the Ford Model T. She didn't. She didn't. She bought a fancy yellow convertible. If she couldn't fly in the air, she would at least have the feeling of flying across the ground. Amelia named her car the Yellow Pearl. She and her mother drove across country and headed for the East Coast. Amelia went back to Columbia University, but again, it wasn't for long. She had to drop out again. As usual, the problem was money. Sam Chapman followed Amelia out east. He proposed marriage again. It was tempting. Amelia was now 28 years old. Most people thought women this age were already old maids. If Amelia married Sam, she wouldn't have to worry so much about money. However, Sam would want her to stay at home and have children. Amelia had to decide. To her, the choice was very clear. Amelia told her sister, Muriel, of her decision. I don't want to marry him, Amelia said. I don't want to marry anyone. Amelia couldn't stand the thought of giving up her freedom. The next job Amelia found was in Boston. She worked at Dennison House, where she took care of poor children. Amelia really liked the job. She knew she was doing something worthwhile. Flying was now limited to weekends, but she watched other pilots with interest. In 1927, a man named Charles Lindbergh made news all over the world. He was the first pilot to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean. It took him more than 33 hours to fly from Long Island, New York, to Paris. A woman from London named Amy Guest wanted to be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. Guest was not a pilot, not the Guest you know, but so she would set the record just by being a passenger in the plane. George Putnam, a book publisher in New York, was going to oversee her attempt. It's George Putnam, and there he is. However, Amy's family wouldn't let her go. So George Putnam had to find another woman, and this time he wanted a pilot. Charles Lindbergh, aviation hero. Charles Lindbergh started out as a barnstormer. That's what pilots That's what pilots who did daring tricks at early air shows in the 1920s were called. But on May 21st, 1927, Charles left his tricks behind and entered the record books. No one had ever made a solo trip across the Atlantic before. It was very dangerous, very dangerous. His plane, called the Spirit of St. Louis, was only 20 feet long. Lindbergh's biggest problem was staying awake, so he'd stick his head out of the plane's window for blasts of cold air. He also kept reminding himself that if he slept, then he would die. It will never happen. Putnam ran a big publishing company, so he knew a lot of people. He was good at making deals. Putnam asked a friend to find the right woman for the trip. The friend found Amelia Earhart. Chapter 5. Amelia becomes a hero. Amelia met with both George Putnam and Amy Guest in New York. They both thought she was perfect, attractive, polite, well-educated, well-mannered. So instead, she got the job. The job was actually not nearly as good as it sounded. Amelia wouldn't get paid. A man, Wilmer Stoltz, would fly, and a man named Wilmer Stoltz would fly the plane. He'd get $20,000. Although Amelia was called the captain, she was really just a passenger. I love being called the captain. It's my favorite. Even in Disney or others. Why did Amelia agree? Well, first, no woman had ever crossed the Atlantic by plane. The experience alone was enough to make Amelia go. Well, to be honest, Amelia summed up her feelings in a letter to a friend. When a great adventure's offered you, you don't refuse it, that's all. Amelia also hoped that if the trip were successful, all the attention could bring her other flying jobs. The flight was very dangerous, very dangerous. Charles Lindbergh had made the trip safely, but 14 other people had died trying to cross the ocean. There had been women. Still, 2 other women pilots were already planning to try it. Amelia had to move quickly if she wanted to be the first. The plane, called the Friendship, took off from Boston on June 3rd, 1928. However, the crew had to land in Canada because of bad weather. Many days went by. The Friendship was still not able to take off. Amelia discovered another problem. Her pilot, Wilmer Stoltz, drank too much. If Wilmer got drunk, she knew he couldn't fly the plane. But if they did not take off soon, Amelia would lose the record. It was now or never. On June 16th, Amelia made a decision. She told Wilmer to get ready to fly. They were leaving the next day no matter what. On the morning of June 17th, Amelia sent a cable to George Putnam back in Boston. The cable read, "Violet, cheerio!" Not the Cheerios of cereal you eat, but this story you're talking about, kids. A.E. Violet was a code word. It meant that the Friendship was taking off. West Union, Cable Canada, George Putnam, Violet Cheerio, A.E. Received by Western Union Building, Boston. Those words are too gibberish to say or read, but it's okay. 1928, June 17th a.m. Through the long flight, Wilmer Stoltz and his co-pilot, Slim Gordon, who took turns flying the plane. Amelia wrote notes in her journal. After 20 hours of flying, they knew they were low on fuel. Could they find land in time? The answer was yes! The Friendship touched. Route of the Friendship, Canada, United States, Boston, Bury, Port, South Wales, London. The friendship touched down. The friendship touched down in Bury Port, South Wales, 20 hours and 40 minutes after taking off from the Canadian coast. They had done it on June 18th, 1928. Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. What came next was a surprise for Amelia. The trip made her an instant hero. Amelia hadn't flown the plane, but people still thought she was very brave. Just like the movie Disney Pixar's only one and truly Disney princess, Brave, also known as Merida, after the 2011 movie of Cars 2. It's my favorite. But we're not talking about that one right now. We're talking about this. Yeah, that's what you know. In London, Amelia was entertained by the rich and famous. She had tea with royalty. On her return to America, Amelia was met tall and slim. Amelia was met with even greater excitement. There were also parades and speeches. Crowds of people wanted to see and hear of a brave female. Many people compared Amelia Earhart to the famous pilot Charles Lindbergh. They thought Amelia, who was tall and slim, even looked like Lindbergh. Amelia's nickname became Lady Lindy. George Putnam liked this a lot. He knew he could make Amelia even more famous. All the attention was hard on Amelia. Sometimes she was frightened by the push of people trying to get near her. However, Amelia was a smart woman. She knew she would have to be in the spotlight if she wanted to fly planes and break records. Amelia also knew that if people got excited about flying, then the tiny airline business would grow. Amelia hoped to be part of that business. If Amelia made speeches, she would also be paid. That meant that she could buy another airplane. With her own plane, she could set more records. That would lead to more speeches and more money. For the first time in her life, Amelia started to believe that she could actually make a living by flying. George Putnam became Amelia's manager. He set up lots of public appearances for her. In 6 months, Amelia made over 100 speeches and gave more than 200 interviews. Amelia did not complain about her busy schedule. She was given a new car for an appearance at an auto show. She also made money by letting companies use her name to advertise their products. The fur-lined leather Amelia Earhart flying suit became very popular in a New York department store. Amelia also became an editor for Cosmopolitan magazine and wrote a column about aviation. Amelia didn't really like to write, but the articles brought more publicity. Many of the magazine's readers thought that Amelia was a good role model for young girls. By 1929, Amelia was the best-known female pilot in America. But what Amelia really wanted was more time flying. So a week before she turned 32, Amelia purchased a second-hand Lockheed Vega. It was a big plane that was hard to handle, but it was built for speed and distance. As soon as possible, Amelia wanted to set more records. The first women's cross-country air race was going to be held later that summer. It was called the Women's Air Derby. Whoever flew from Santa Monica, California to Cleveland, whatever it is, Ohio, in the shortest time would win. Amelia was eager to enter. That's right. That's true. The course which went over the Rocky Mountains was dangerous, very dangerous. The rules committee considered changing the flight path or making a male navigator go along in every line. Go along in every plane, not line, sorry. Oh, that's not Santa Claus. I mean, we're talking about Santa Monica, not the one that's just who wears a red suit, which is called Santa Claus because it's not even Christmas yet. But we're so close. But boy, we're so close to Christmas. And we've not got to that yet because it's at the end of 2025, which is December. And it's almost Christmas break. We're so close to Christmas break. We're still in Thanksgiving break, though, and that's Cleveland. Not the show you watch because it's bad, similar to Family Guy, which I don't like. I mean, which I'm neutral of. So map of the race route over the Rocky Mountains. Needless to say, Amelia was very angry. She and other women pilots have flown many hours alone. Amelia said she would not enter the race if she couldn't fly on her own. Because of Amelia and several other female pilots, the committee backed down. The women would fly the whole course by themselves. On August 18th, 1929, then 20,000 people turned up in Santa Monica, California, for the start of the race. There were 19 pilots, including Amelia. Many people did not take the women seriously. Will Rogers, a famous writer at the time, called the race the Powder Puff Derby. Still, that Sunday afternoon, all 19 planes were in the air and racing against the clock. It's Amelia's plane. The race was to take 8 days, but there were problems from the start. Planes broke down. Landing fields were not in good shape. On the second day, Amelia's plane flipped over on landing. She wasn't hurt and she was able to fix her plane and keep racing. But others weren't so lucky. Some planes went off course and crashed. Some planes went off course and crashed. One pilot died in the mountains of Arizona. Oh, that's my birth date. My birthday date, August 25th. But I wasn't here in 1929, remember? I was born only 2010. On August 25th, the race was over. Only 11 of the 19 women finished. Amelia Earhart came in third. Even though she didn't win, Amelia learned a lot. She also got to know many of the best women pilots in the country. After the race, many women pilots decided it was time to start their own group. On November 2nd, 1929, 26 women met in an airplane hangar in Long Island, New York. They wondered what to call themselves. Amelia suggested they name the club after the number of women who first joined. The other pilots liked the idea. Over the next several months, the name changed from the 86s to the 97s. Finally, the 99s was the name that stuck. Amelia worked to get more women pilots to join. By the following summer, the 99s had almost 200 members. The group helped women pilots get jobs. The 99s also had an office where careful records of women's aviation achievements could be kept. Amelia Earhart was selected the first president of the group. That's so exciting! Sometimes Amelia felt she didn't deserve all the praise that the public gave her, but she had truly earned the respect of the other women flyers, and it meant a lot to her. Excuse me, and we'll stop by and we'll continue this tomorrow.